Let's go through a simple example right here. And the example we're using is, again, CSM modernization. And so when we're about to embark on a project, right, putting on my architect hat here, I need to understand the current state, right? Maybe I wasn't involved with the CSM implementation before, or maybe, hey, I myself, I'm not familiar with CSM. So I need a little bit of help to ramp up my own knowledge on what my instance has done previously. So why don't I go ahead and ask Echelon to help me do that? I'm about to kickstart financial service operations implementation within this instance. Give me a high-level architecture of what we have implemented on this instance, the plugins, the tables, and raise any sort of customizations and potential risks that might have been implemented before. I like pictures, so please include visuals. Been using Echelon for a long, long time now. I find it much easier when I just, speak to it just like that. Yeah, so, a lot of new ways that we never imagined our customers using Echelon come about from just using it in just a few short weeks. Being able to ask this question as opposed to going to Google, as opposed to asking, trying to get a meeting with some CSM SME, or, logging into the instance myself and looking through all of these tables, all of these logs, all of the past stories. This is something that, back in my day when I used to work for other ServiceNow partners, without Echelon, it would probably take me half a day, close to a day to maybe get an answer to this question, right? So let's see how Echelon performs, right, in the couple of minutes that we have together. I'm sure many of us might have tried other sort of LLM tools in the past, all right? So what makes Echelon better, more accurate? Well, you're actually seeing it on the screen right here. Every single response that comes from Echelon is going to be grounded in truth based on what it finds within your instance, right? It is not making anything up. It's not looking up something from the community from 2016. Uh, it's actually understanding my question and analyzing it, right? Just like you would as a great architect or maybe a senior dev. And then you're going to go inside the instance itself to understand, hey, what update sets might have contributed to customizations within CSM? Let me look at some flows related to FSO, right? Because there's out of the box flows, there could be custom flows that might have been created, right? I'm looking for a high level overview. And you notice that I didn't ask Echelon to look at, flows or catalog items or whatnot, right? So it's kind of, it understood the task at hand. And so now you see it looking within the instance. And today, you're gonna see me go through the three phases, right? The discovery phase, which is kind of what you're looking at right now, the design phase, which we'll see in a bit, and then finally the build phase. And it's only when Echelon follows all three phases are you going to get a happier, more successful outcome in whatever it is that you're trying to do. So you can see in just a few short minutes, it already looked up 120 records, right, across many different tables.
As it's doing this scan, like what would your workflow have been without Echelon? Like what would you have done?
Yeah, yeah. So, in my case, I'm very familiar with CSM, customer service management. But FSO, financial service operations, this is a newer application. So for me to even try and say, hey, what's built in this instance, I need to go through a learning phase for myself, right? I need to learn about FSO, the plugins, the tables, the people involved, the roles involved. What is customization? What does come out of the box? And then finally maybe spend a couple hours there and then finally look into this instance and then do my analysis. Comparing that to what you guys seeing on Echelon, right? We have a team of CTAs and CMAs who have done many FSO implementations in the past. And today we're only talking about CSM, but Echelon is actually great across the entire platform, right? HR, IT, CMDB, ITOM, etc. So Echelon already knows all of this, right? And so it immediately is able to analyze your instance and get your response very quickly, right? So it's kind of like having an architect that knows everything on the platform and you being able to just ask questions like, hey, give me an overview of how we implemented FSO, and we're able to get an answer within less than 5 minutes. Let's take a look at the response here. So I asked for visuals and pictures, right? I'm going to expand this view a little bit. So we can see that we kind of see how the application is laid out, not just by table, but actually just by a solution, right? So over here along the left-hand side, we see all the plugins that have been enabled, right? We see the FSO Core, which is kind of the foundational component to all of the other sort of FSO sub processes, right? Or different modules that they have, right? So very quickly, I'm able to get a bird's eye view of what plugins we have enabled. Looks like we have like a custom app that was extended from FSO Core that had to do with student card banking, right? But the rest of these other ones, these looks to be all out of the box. Okay, and we can kind of see the relationships between them. Scrolling down a little bit, right, we see all of the plugins that have been enabled, and yes, there's the student card banking, the key tables that we have, prior sort of customization work, right? This is great. So it looks like Ken over here been doing quite a lot of customization work here, right? But we get a link directly to the update set, right? And we get a glimpse of what sort of things have been built on top of this FSO implementation, right? So very, very quickly. This would have taken me at least, 1 or 2 hours to just looking at update sets, trying to figure out which one is touching FSO, etc., right? A good lens on the flows and what sort of data records that we have here.